Hello friends, Matt here, and you guys in my Twitter poll last week where I let Twitter pick my bag could not stop talking about one disc. In the mid-range category I had 4 discs, the Buzzz, Rock, Iguana, and Matrix, and you ended up picking the Buzzz, but actually there was another disc that was just in the comments like, why don't you have this one, why don't you have this one, why don't you have this one, and it was always the Axiom Hex. So I ended up getting a Hex to see if you guys have a point. I had 10 people in my comments talking about the Hex. One guy was like, I can't participate in this poll, there's no Hex. And another one was like, well, the Matrix is a fine disc, but if you had the Hex, I would get behind it. So I got one, and I'm gonna compare it to the Matrix. Let's get a look at those profiles side by side. It's a little blunter, a little shallower, and the upper wing is a little more sloped, so it should be a little bit less stable, but maybe also a little quicker in the air due to the more shallow nature. Yeah, the numbers on this one are 5.5, -1.1, and I think the Matrix is 5.402 or something like that. They're close, but this should be a little more stable. Then I'm also going to bring along the ESP Buzzz that I threw in the video. And if you take a look at those profiles, like, it's not quite as blunt, but it is pretty clear there could be some inspiration taken there, because that's a pretty similar profile. So we're going to take them out to the course, check them out, and see what we think, and see if you guys have a point. Is the Hex really that good?
Here at Deerfield on hole 1, working through that triple Mando. Pures it beautifully with a Hex, flips that branch a little bit, but still falls down with a putt in circle 2. Matrix is a little bit more overstable, but I do get some turn out of it. It stays circle's edge. Buzzz turns way over, whacks that tree, and ends up fairway left side. And over hole 5, the Hex catches some headwind here and holds the turn all the way to the ground, but still in the open. The Matrix holds the line really, really well, fights back late, and it's on the edge of the circle. Buzzz just gets straight gobbled by the headwind and ends up mid-fairway. First on this one, shows a little bit of that forced turn and then falls down beautifully on the edge of circle 1. Buzzz on this one, a little bit wider route, but still fights back, and it's in the circle but behind that tree. Hex holds a very similar line to the Matrix, but fights out later and parks it. Over to hole 10. Actually, the Hex did exactly what I wanted here, but I released it a little bit early. Buzzz takes the inside line, turns a bit late, and falls down the edge of the circle left. And the Matrix does the exact line that I wanted and parks it right there. On 11, this is actually a really good throw with the Hex, but gets caught up in that branch, so got a little bit nose up. And the Matrix actually did great, but it ends up on the edge of the OB there too. It was just a tricky hole overall. Buzzz is also throwing the line pretty well and gets caught up on that same tree as the Hex. Over to hole 13, there's some OB long there, so you got to make sure it hyzers, and probably hyzered the Hex a little bit too much. It's in circle 2 though. Matrix was pretty good. It's circle 1, a little bit short. And this is the Buzzz with the best throw I've ever had with a Buzzz, holding that turn until it fades really late and parks the hole. On 17, we're going through this tunnel with the Matrix. It skips up there on the hill and parks that one. Trying the Buzzz now, and it pures the tunnel, but clips from those tiny trees at the end and ends up just past the mouth. And then the Hex does a very similar shot to the Buzzz, but it's out in the open. Here's my putt from where the Matrix was, up in that little raised basket.
Okay guys, so after spending some time with our new friend the Hex, I've got to say, you guys are right, this is a very good mid-range. I had some nice throws with it. My throw on hole 7 was fantastic, and that's kind of like, 300 feet with an uphill green is getting near the edge of my backhand range with a mid-range, and that one just pure parked it. Some other good throws as well. I did find in the windy conditions, it could get turned over and hold that all the way to the ground like it did on hole 5. Very, very similar to the Buzzz, the ESP Buzzz that I was comparing it to. So I would say they're in the same ballpark.
This hex has a little bit more integrity, even though they're within a couple grams. This one's a 177, that's 178. And the Buzzz just has a little bit less integrity. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I've never thrown a Buzzz all that super well. My throw on hole 13, where I parked that hole that's got the OB right behind, like that's my best throw ever with the Buzzz. So I did feel like it is a good disc, but I just don't gel with it. I like the hex a little bit better. I think it's a really good mid-range, very solid. I don't know if you guys can see that rim. That's just a beautiful rim with the swirly grays and blues. But even though it was the worst disc to follow on film and do all those follow flights with, I like the Matrix just a little bit more. I know you guys said, oh, the hex is way, way better. I think that little bit of extra depth and beef just makes the Matrix more intuitive for me. I was almost as close on 7. I had a great shot on 10 with it. It just will manipulate those lines, but still have some integrity to the wind and fade that the hex just doesn't quite do the same. That shot on 17, skipping up that hill after going through the tunnel, where the hex just, once it hit the wind and the open after it got out of the trees, it just turned over and stayed there. So both amazing discs for our friends in Maple Valley, but I do think I prefer the Matrix just a little bit to the hex. That'll probably be blasphemous to a lot of you guys, but as much as I like both of them, and I think you could bag both very easily, I think a lot of people are probably doing Reactor alongside the hex since it's the same core, I believe. But I like the Matrix just a little bit better. So sorry you guys have upset, but also thank you for recommending it. I had a lot of fun throwing it. Probably won't bag it since I've got my iguana that fills that slot for me, but it is a really good disc, and I appreciate you guys being so passionate. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.